Hello, Marvel Strike Force fans. It is your friend Ryan here, the fasting comic guy, and I want to give some advice for newer players when it comes to starting out their war defense because they can be pretty intimidating. So, my alliance actually lost our last war, and the main reason why we lost it was because we have an abundance of default teams. Now, that is all these black rooms up here. The only reason why this room has been claimed is because we got a new member and he just wasn't able to claim his room yet because it hasn't been the 24 hours. When you're new, you don't get to join for 24 hours. So we got, as you can see, up here lots of default rooms. And up here we also have a lot of our weaker teams. So it doesn't really, like, even if they weren't, they had characters in all of them, probably wouldn't have been too difficult for them to take anyways. But still, we want to make it, our goal here is to make it a little bit of a challenge. So over here we have a Sinister Six, a Shield team with Coulson, a Kree team, a fairly nice Asgard team, a Guardians team, and then 3 default teams. Basically, he starts off down here, and as they work their way up, it gets a little bit more difficult. And then once if they're done with room 5, it's just easy. They can take the rest of the rooms super easy without having to worry about anything. So my advice when it comes to people that are brand new and they are starting a whole new row here is just look at the average here. So a default team is 17,000k. If you are really new to the game and you don't have very many strong teams, set yourself a nice slow goal. Say, my goal is to make all 8 of these an average of 25,000. And if you're a little bit more advanced, you can try 30,000, 40,000. Basically, make your goal to have these averaged out higher than 17. And I think 25k is actually pretty doable. So here, for example, is a good strategy that's been implemented. He snuck in his shield medic, which isn't very strong, but is stronger than the regular default shield medic. Now, I've actually seen this team get a couple of war defense victories just because the other team going against them underestimated that this character would be able to hold their ground against whatever they used to fight him. So, ways to get higher averages in all of these. Now, I use this as an opportunity to kind of learn the game a little bit better. Because one thing I like to do in the game, I like to create synergies and make them all work. So, I've been working on my war defense quite hard since I first started, but I started just like everyone else did with low defense teams, and my goal was just average out everyone to 25,000, and let's see where we can go from there, because I know a lot of people want to have a nice balance between defense and offense teams. You are only able to attack so many times on offense, and there are a lot of characters that you will not use frequently when you're doing offense, so why leave those characters on the bench when you can put them in your defense? So when I first did this, like, it's actually gone a lot different from when I first started. When I first started, I mainly had rooms that were like these 2 guys here. Like, I had a hand room, I had a Kree room, I had an aim room, then I had a Spider-Verse room, then I had like an Avengers room, and basically after that they were just like random rooms, like a support character, a protect character, 3 DPS characters. Or it would be like, say I had Deadpool, Cable, Bullseye, like, anything that might create like an extra synergy, because Bullseye has synergy with Deadpool, and throw like another mercenary character in there, and maybe like the Kingpin, just to give like bad guy characters a buff. So like they were kind of just messing around with the synergies to see what I could create. So when I first created this team, like they were probably at like 40,000, but there is an event in game that requires hand characters. So as those events would appear, I would try to make my hand team a little bit stronger each time, just so I could advance further into it and get better rewards. So as a result, this room has gotten quite a bit tougher for people to attack. Hand are still not that great in general, but you still need to like actually use a somewhat of a decent team to take them out. And like I said, I use this as an opportunity to kind of just get creative. So like you don't need to have like your best teams in here. Like you can just toss in like, let's see, my Hydra team for example. I have done almost next to nothing with Hydra, and right here just with Hydra tag characters I got up to 40,000, and that's only because this guy, I used him at the beginning for my villains campaign, so he was a little bit powerful at like 10k, and my Winter Soldier has some decent stars on him. So like that's the only reason why these characters are, that team is there. But another strategy that you could do is, say you decided to do something like this. You just take out one of your default characters, and we'll just toss in, say, oh, her. Now, a lot of times this is actually a very good strategy, because people will definitely underestimate this. When they go to fight it the first time, they will use 5 characters that will equal up to about 63,000. They might even try to like punch it up, be like, oh, this will be easy. They might even try like 50,000. So they'll waste an entire attack usually trying to take out a team like this, because the one character that you do have that is ridiculously overpowered will be able to take out 5 characters that equal that number very easily, especially if it's Captain Marvel, because she has a self-heal. She is probably one of the most overpowered characters in the game. Say you were lucky enough to get her to, you hit the jackpot, you somehow managed to get her up to 7 stars, and you hit the jackpot again on the red stars and got her to 7 red stars. You got her to tier 13, you maxed out all of her abilities, and maxed her out to level 75, got her up to well over 100k power. They would have to use a team that's probably well over 250,000 just to take her out alone, because she is basically a team by herself. And that's just her. But I'm not saying everyone's got like a 50,000 or 20,000 or even have her unlocked. But, you know, just toss in like one random character just to get it up there. And like I said, they don't have to be a full team. And your goal isn't to get all the rooms up to 100k if you're new. Your goal is just to make the room a little bit more challenging than it would be if it was a default. So toss her in by herself. There's 35k right there. So all you really need is just like 8 characters at 20,000 power, and you're done with your entire row of rooms. And that's if you're implementing this type of a strategy where you're having 4 default characters and 1 somewhat more powerful character. And like I said, if you want to do the other thing that I did, where I got creative with synergies and created full-on teams, because like here for example, let's see here, as you can see, the teams aren't really looking that great, but if I'm looking for my, so because these guys are all villains, they all get this perk. Because this guy's a Ravager, he gets that perk. And you know, that's kind of what I would do. I'd create teams like this also. I wouldn't be using any of these characters. I would not use this team on a war offense team at all. I don't use these characters really at all in the game, period. Like, I use him for basically when they have the payday event coming out. No one uses Stitcher, period. People use Yondu to help get out Star Lord. Not very many people really work on Fisk because all he basically does is just does this buff, and he just has a lot of health. Again, no one really uses Nebula very much. Like, all these characters are kind of just like backroom characters that no one uses. You're not going to use them on your war offense, and so why leave them on the bench when you can easily make make a super annoying, well, a harder team for them to take out than a default team. And yeah, like I said, that's my point that I want to make. When you're new, just try and make it so that they're not going after, you're not just giving them a free, like, this is basically a whole free room. Like, all of these are just free for them. Like, it's an easy 5 points. And then even here, they're trying to do the little strategy there where they like toss in a couple of like stronger characters where they might hopefully underestimate the rooms. But as you can see, he's kind of trying there. He's probably saying to himself, all right, I'm going to have my average be around 25,000. So, he tried to get the teams up to around 25,000, and he just kind of left the other rooms by themselves. But that's not the best thing to do. And like I said, I'd recommend when you're new, set yourself a nice small goal, say 25,000 per room. Those are the two strategies that I recommend. Just use characters in there that you do not use and you won't use for your war offense. So have fun with it. Like, create like a Hydra team just for the heck of it if you're able to get above 17,000. And that wouldn't cost that much gold. It wouldn't cost that much leveling up abilities. It wouldn't cost that much gearing abilities. You could just upgrade their regular abilities with your green mats that everyone has tons of. So it really wouldn't take that much to get a character above 3,500 points. Or, like I said, just toss in a 20,000 power character and leave the rest at default. They will most of the time be underestimated by the other team, and you might get a few extra victories out of that. So, I hope this video was helpful for newer players to the game, and have yourself a good day, a good night, and a good morning. Peace. Thank you for watching my video. If you thought it was helpful, please hit the subscribe button on the left and the like button below. And on the right, there should be another video that might be helpful for you in other areas of the game. Have yourself a good one. Thank you.